Hey guys, it's me, Joshua Pac-Man. I'm here making another, rant video, I guess. So, as you're going to be seeing here, I'm going to be putting up some gameplay of me doing some Aiden and then some Apex Legends. So, I think this is kind of important to say. Recently, if some people have been paying attention to my channel, I've actually been doing some videos where I've been doing some vintage typing tests. And eventually, I probably should do a video of me talking about these vintage keyboards someday. It's, interesting, I think. It's a hobby I've been picking up recently, and right now, on the Apex Legends gameplay that you've been seeing, I've actually been using my magnum opus of a keyboard, which is my Chicone 5181. Real keyboard, no keyboard nerds know what I'm talking about. If you can... Well, I think I probably should do a little test, but yeah, currently, as of recording, this is what I'm using right now. And for the Apex Legends gameplay that you're going to be seeing eventually, you're also going to be seeing that. Which also, I'd like to mention, at some point, I'm going to show it, and I'm going to specifically point it out mid-editing. Is that at some point, the adapter I'm using actually kind of goes haywire. I think it's because of my USB hub that I'm connecting my PS2 keyboards, or basically anything that isn't a USB keyboard. So I need to use my PS2 adapter. Some people might know what I'm talking about. These vintage keyboards, I have to, since they don't use a USB connection, I have to connect them through PS2, not the console, the connector that was used on vintage computers from mid to late 80s and 90s. And my Chicone 5181, I'm basically using it as a chain of adapters. So one adapter from 5-pin DIN to PS2, and another one from PS2 to USB, and then to my USB hub to my computer. So I think with the USB hub, or more accurately, my adapter just does not like my USB hub. So at some point you're going to see in the middle of my Apex Legends gameplay that my adapter started acting up. So here's the thing. I kind of wanted to make this rant video about just in general my thoughts and opinions on keyboards for gaming. Because here's the thing. And this is something I kind of thought to myself for a while. In my opinion, Alps keyboards, especially the clicky and tactile variety, are superior to anything custom that's cherry based. So basically, your Gatorons, your Holy Pandas, your whatever. I'm not talking about things like Zeal's clickies or their box series, and there's probably other switches that might feel okay, but in my opinion, be it tactile or clicky, I don't think the cherry design or the platform is that good. And generally, even if you're going to be interested in those types of keyboards, I'd highly recommend you stick to linear. In fact, actually, I recommend that if you have the money to buy a keyboard with the highest polling rating that's linear and is or a sensorless keyboard. And by sensorless, I mean Hall effect keyboards, or the optical keyboards that Razer uses, or the Hall effect sensing keyboards that Wu-Tang and SteelSeries use. Because in my opinion, and this is kind of a thought I thought to myself, I am a competitive gamer, but right now I'm not really that competitive in FPS, mainly because there's not a single FPS game that I would want to dedicate more than 50 hours to my life right now, except Team Fortress 2 and Quake, and both of those game franchises are not that popular competitively. Or your TF2 and you got a competitive scene, but absolutely nobody cares about it because the ability to go to that competitive scene is way too high and nobody's gonna bother. Yay. And in my opinion, I kind of just wanted to do this rant for two reasons. One, I personally don't think it's honestly that worth doing, really. It's a rant. I kind of, or in my personal opinion, if any competitive gamer wants to get in a competitive, or wants to like get, on those beat that ass sessions and ranked and push themselves to the limit, get a freaking Hall Effect keyboard from Wu-Tang, from Razer, from freaking Steel Series. Legit, I personally think those are probably better keyboards to get. But if people want to get something that feels good and is clicky, Alps keyboards, in my opinion, are the best bet. But those are really rare to find, which kind of sucks. In my opinion, I personally don't like the MX platform. That's like, there's a bunch of advantages to use to staying MX, or at least MX mount, which, or I guess cherry mount, which one of them being they have a bunch of parts that are widely available. It doesn't matter where you look, a lot of parts they have around are available, and it's like super easy to get. And even then, there's like plenty of gaming companies that are like releasing like hot swap keyboards that are like 1,000 polling hertz, which even then we should already reach higher, man. But in my opinion, I'm not too crazy about that. I don't think it's really that big of a deal for someone like myself, especially when technically I'm using a much more competitive keyboard, if you think about it for a sec, because PS2 is on par with 1,000 polling hertz. If it wasn't for the fact that I'm using an adapter, which automatically cuts my performance by a lot, which even then I can probably like have somebody make an adapter for me that's like high polling and is like really good. So even then, I guess I could like get a circuit board or a motherboard for my PC that accepts PS2 and is AMD. But why would I do that? Why the hell would I do that? In my opinion, I don't think it's that big of a deal to do. And generally, my experience is this. I've tried it several times when playing single player games like Half-Life or Portal, which actually, throughout my entire time playing Portal, I actually used a Dell AT101 using black out switches, which in my opinion was a lot of fun to do. It felt real nice, and honestly, even if it didn't make my experience like that more viable or anything, because I'm not a speedrunner or anything, it was in my opinion better than if I used my HyperX. Which, speaking of which, my HyperX Alloy is not particularly my favorite keyboard to use anymore. In my opinion, I personally think that more people should start moving to Alps style tactility and mechanics if you want to be clicky, or have click bar be much cheaper and readily available. I don't think click jacket's gonna last any longer. And in my opinion, one of the biggest gripes I have with the keyboard community is that how they it's gotten stale, in my opinion. The custom keyboard community is, in my opinion, relatively stale. You got two samey sounds, and you have a lacking variety, because you either go linear or clicky, and the most popular, like most of the switches that are being manufactured right now are linear. What? Huh? Only linear? And in my opinion, the best types of linear switches are contactless switches, which, yeah, there aren't many, but in my opinion, those are way better. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather get a Wu-Tang keyboard, a Steel Series keyboard, or a freaking Razer optical keyboard and use that instead. In my opinion, those don't seem like bad deals. They're gonna feel way smoother. They already have most of the things I would want, and realistically, if I'm going linear, I'd want something that's smooth and also quiet. Because I talked to like a fellow classmate of mine at school, and he said, "Oh yeah, I got this like Corsair keyboard with linears because it was quiet." And honestly, I don't blame him. Click jacket keyboards, in my opinion, are noisy, which is understandable, but I use clickies. In my opinion, they just sound bad. Because after a while, I originally had like these Otemu switches, which were click jacket. I got sick and tired of the sound. They sounded awful. And I think I have a video earlier in my channel about me, just messing around and putting some cotton balls in it to dampen it. And it kind of worked. But in my opinion, I don't think people should do that. In my opinion, if you're gonna mod a clicky keyboard, just put in some click jackets, or no, not click jackets, click bars or Zoo PC clickies. Actually, that reminds me of another problem. Trying to get into clicky keyboards is incredibly expensive. In fact, actually, probably the best clicky switch, in my opinion, is the Zeo PC clickies, and they go $1.50 for a switch, and that starts to rack up fast. And if you want to go click bar to save on some cash, that still racks up really fast. And I'm like, oh, what the heck, yo, what's going on? It's kind of sad, because when it comes to the clicky portion of the keyboard, of general keyboards, it's like gotten so stale, and there's not much innovation or variety. And the innovation that does happen, well, if you want to build a custom clicky keyboard, it's going to come at a massive premium. Chostock switches are very expensive. KO box pinks, expensive. Box whites, expensive. Jades, expensive. Zeo PC clickies, expensive. And legit, the only type of clicky switch that I think is actually pretty good for the price, which I will do a video on it eventually, I'm gonna show it off soon, is my custom keyboard, which uses Matthias clicky switches. Now, that's just a naked switch, but if you can already hear it, I personally think with it naked, it already sounds really good. And KO, or not KO, my Alps keyboard here, my Chicone 5181, I managed to get it at a deal of $60 with a nearly virgin white case, almost great condition keycaps. There's some dirt and grime on it, but I just let it soak in some water, in some soapy water, and then let them dry it off. I probably should have just brushed it off, but honestly, I don't care. It's disinfected. That's good enough for me. And in my opinion, Matthias click switches are not bad. Problem is that if you want to get keycaps for them, you only have access to Alps mount. So either Apple extended keyboard keycaps, which you can find on eBay for relatively cheap. Those types of keyboards are very common. Or Tactile keycaps, which tend to go for like $50 or so if you're buying it directly from their website or other third-party methods. Mainly because if you're getting, for example, their ANSI only sets, they're actually a lot cheaper, but you're gonna need to import them from Taiwan, which the set I bought, I had to do that. I had to go through PayPal, import them, and yeah, it sucked in my opinion. And I know there are other third parties that do sell their vintage white keycaps, which in my opinion, for most people, I just recommend you buy those, because it's that easy to just get them. Just do it. But in my opinion, it's damn, really? I gotta pay 50 bones for only one set of keycaps that I can readily availably find on AliExpress or eBay? Great. I'm gonna go over there and weep. Thank you very much. And my custom Alps build, I was actually able to do on the cheap because Matthias switches are, fun fact, dirt cheap. Wanna know how cheap? 38 cents per switch. I bought a pack of 65 from a website. I forgot the name, but they're pretty trustworthy. I bought stabilizers from them and I bought switches from them. They costed me 25 to $26. That's not a lot if you ask me. That's not a lot. $26? I don't know, man. That's pretty good. I might be wrong, but that's what I vaguely remember it costing me for a pack of 65. So and I was doing like a 60% build. So I was using an XD60, which is a relatively cheap circuit board that I can use for my custom build, which is what I use for my custom build, alongside a Keep Me Up Alps plate made out of FR4. And it's like and the XD60 is like really cheap. It's dirt cheap. There's like another circuit board I found on eBay that's being sold for like $60. I think I found it on sale on AliExpress for around like 20 something dollars, which for an Alps circuit board is actually really good. And they advertised that it's Alps compatible. All I had to do was, it was a pain in the ass to do, but flash it with QMK. And in my opinion, personally, going through all that effort, I think I had a, albeit more difficult experience. Building it was a lot of fun, but in my personal opinion, Alps, or at least clicky switches, are, I don't know, they just aren't getting innovated enough. And in my personal opinion, like, what's the point? I personally think that Alps switches are, and switches like, for example, NMB Space Invaders, buckling springs, and so on, they're, in my opinion, way better, but kind of sucks that clicky switches are just not being innovated on. And if you want to get something good, you're gonna pay a massive premium. Like the new Model M that Unicomp is selling, it's like $104. The keyboard build I had to do, it's not cheap. Even though I bought the parts over time, I guarantee you the price easily like got up to that point, because I bought the circuit board in a package with cherry stems or cherry stabilizers and a black plastic case. I had to buy the switches, the stabilizers for the tactile keycaps, and I had to buy my tactile keycaps, which cost me $50, $24 for the 65 pack of switch, $10 for my stabilizers, $15 for the plate, and like the 30 something dollars I paid for the circuit board, the cherry stabilizers, and the case. Yeah, that stacks up really fast. And this is kind of a thing that I'm a little saddened about. The keyboard community, it's gotten really stale when it comes to the clicky side. And in my opinion, if I'm going to go linear, which I'm probably going to do that actually, I'm thinking on picking up a linear keyboard and give my HyperX to a friend. Probably like a 60%, or no, even like a 10% Razer Huntsman or something like that. Get me a linear keyboard, just use that instead. Get me like a linear Hall Effect or optical keyboard from Razer or SteelSeries, because I want me a daily driver keyboard. I just don't want to daily drive an Ops keyboard all the time, because, you know, I want a go-to keyboard that I can reliably use all the time, that isn't, you know, just no frills. But I guess this is just a simple rant that I'm just gonna upload, like edit later tonight and so on. So anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this rant or whatever, and I will see you guys tomorrow, as I'm gonna be live streaming myself grinding Virtua Fighter. I don't know exactly when, but yeah. Well, tomorrow's gonna be today, because I'm gonna edit it right now. Anyways, guys, see you later. Oh, and on the 22nd, the live stream for the monthly is going up.